Well, as with all such things, it hardly seems that it's been 4 weeks since I started on this trip. But in fact, today is the last day, and things will be back to normal tomorrow, whatever normal means. Anyway, we've got this morning from Drive Tesla. According to Musk, the next FSD supervised update version 12.4 is set to deliver a 5 to 10 times improvement in miles per intervention over 12.3.6. That is a 5 to 10 times improvement. It says, while it is difficult to gauge the exact level of improvement without knowing the current rate of miles per intervention, this means that the new update could potentially allow the car to drive. Well, yeah, potentially. That's exactly what they're saying. Will allow the car to drive 5 to 10 times further before requiring a human intervention. So, for instance, if you're getting one intervention every hour, that would mean maybe you'll have one intervention every 5 to 10 hours. If you're having 5 interventions per hour, maybe you're only going to have one intervention per hour. So that's a pretty significant improvement, and that's just on this next one, which is 12.4. There's also new stuff coming on that new version. We'll see what all that means because anyway, let me finish the story though here. Based on our personal experience with FSD, this would be a significant improvement. Well, it would be significant no matter where it was, because 5 to 10 times is significant. The story is not very well written. So they say, though, that is proved, version 12 is proved to be very capable in most scenarios, and it rarely requires a safety critical intervention. That would be, so those are two different kinds of interventions, but a 5 to 10 times improvement, whether we're talking about interventions that are for safety reasons or interventions that are because of comfort reasons, we would expect to see a 5 to 10 roughly percent improvement. According to Musk, the 12.4 release is coming this weekend. That would be internally to employees and such, with a limited external beta expected next week. Looking beyond 12.4, Musk has indicated that 12.5 is scheduled for release in late June. So we had the 12.3 about a month ago. Now we're going to have 12.4. Roughly 30 days after 12.3, and now we're saying another 30 days or so, we will have 12.5. It says that version will also feature major improvements in miles per intervention and will integrate a single stack system, eliminating the implicit stack on highways, further improving the software's performance across various driving environments. So interesting, because we haven't really understood this fully as to when would the stack all be one, where we would have the new end-to-end Neuralink approach on highway as well as on streets. Now we know that will be at the end of June with 12.5. Okay, switching to robots, we have this from the Robot Report. The first thing you notice about the new Unitree G1 humanoid is that it's significantly smaller in size and stature than the H1 humanoid. The Unitree H1 is the size of an average adult, about 180 centimeters, while the Unitree G1 is the size of an average 8-year-old at 127 centimeters. The smaller stature and design of the G1 requires less material, obviously, can use smaller motors than the H1, and yet both units weigh about the same. That's interesting, 47 kilograms. So that'd be about 100 pounds. With a smaller robot, you'd expect to have less expensive bill of materials, obviously. So the G1 has a list price of just $16,000 in its base configuration, where the H1 has a base price of $90,000. So we have to ask Scott Walter next week. We'll have to ask him, what does he think is causing that massive difference between those two pricing? Can it all be about the size of the motors and the battery pack, et cetera, that would be required? That seems like a pretty big difference. Anyway, Unitree adds a press release. They've got a press release out also yesterday. Through force position hybrid control, G1 can simulate the precise operation ability of the human hand and accurately control various objects, whether it's smashing walnuts, and it shows a picture of that where the robot is smashing a walnut on a table, or picking up fragile objects such as eggs. The G1 can demonstrate extremely high accuracy and stability. What's more worth mentioning is the G1 robot can easily handle delicate operations such as opening soda bottles and welding. These tasks that were considered difficult for machines in the past have become a piece of cake under the dexterous control of the G1. Now, it appears that they're already shipping some of the H1s. I think we've talked about that before. It does not say anywhere in either the article or the press release when they plan to start shipping the G1s. But here's 3 thoughts that come out of those 2 articles. Number 1, they're now showing use cases such as welding, such as moving certain kinds of objects, such as being able to do something like opening a Coke can, although I don't think there's any jobs opening Coke cans. And then number 2 is that, as I mentioned, shipping has started. And then number 3, they're only talking about selling them, not leasing them. And we also end up with a price range established, $16,000 to $90,000. Now that again would be in base models. There may be additional costs for some additional accessories or programming or whatever, we don't know. Anyway, interesting stuff. I certainly have been planning and hoping that this would be a lease program. The early folks out in terms of shipping right now would be these guys, and they're talking about selling them. So we continue to be befuddled about yesterday's price drop on Tesla. It was down also a bit more today, although last time I checked, it's really working hard, only pennies away from the green. We'll check that in a second, of course, as always, but really can't find a reason. So here are 5 or 6 kind of reasons, but nothing really that would have caused that kind of drop yesterday, especially when the market was up so strongly. Number 1, there were some competitive products announced in the auto, truck, and robot. We just talked about the robots, but there was also the Chevy Blazer, maybe, I forget. One of the Chevys, they announced they're coming out with an electric truck later this year. There was an automobile, another, I think a Neo maybe in China that was announced, but I don't think that's what caused it. The 0.99% interest rate on the Model Ys that Tesla came out with over the weekend seemed to be good for the stock on Monday. Maybe later on, people are thinking, well, actually, there's a real cost there. And so that's like a price reduction, and it might suggest some softening in the market. Maybe that could be part of it. The California lawsuit where the state of California is suing Tesla for false advertising on FSD, that has been allowed to go forward. Most people, really serious players, very serious lawyers, there's a number of these lawsuits around that subject, lawsuits and federal investigations say, no, you can puff, you can exaggerate, you can talk about what's going to happen in the future because you can't know the future. So most people think this has no chance. I don't think that was it. And then the largest union in Sweden decided to go forward to join the fight with that Swedish union. But I don't think that was it. So anyway, not sure if all of those impacted Tesla yesterday. Nobody really seemed to know. There is a lot of discussion on X right now around the Elon pay package. That could be another little minor thing that's affecting things, but that's not until the middle of June, so I don't think so. Most of the activity on X is just people saying, hey, make sure to get out and vote yes. Some talking about what Tesla is doing to get the institutional investors, the retail investors, the employees to vote yes. All those things are happening right now. Tesla's actively involved in those 3 efforts, as are some people on X, like Tesla Boomer Mama. As usual, she's pushing the vote. And then some of the articles are also considering what would be the impact of a no vote and whether Elon would quit, leave the company if the vote comes down. No, I do not believe so. Others that we're talking about it also do not believe so. All right. This is Randy Kirk, by the way. Please like if you haven't already done that. Subscribe, hit notify, because guess what? We're back tomorrow with a full slate. So be there tomorrow or be square, hit notify so you're reminded. And then, of course, joining Patreon would be a wonderful thing to do. I haven't been pushing that this month because I've been, on vacation. But I'm going to start pushing it again. Hopefully, maybe you would think, I could help. I could help produce this show. All right, this is from the economic side of things. The New York Fed's Empire State Business Conditions Index, a gauge of manufacturing activity in the state, fell 1.3 points in May to a negative 15.6. Economists expected a negative 10 reading. This is the 6th straight month below zero. which indicates deteriorating conditions in New York State. The index for new orders inched down. The shipments index jumped 13.2 points, but remained in negative territory. And unfilled orders ticked up in May. Delivery times and inventories dropped. The two price indices moved lower, as did the employment index. And the only thing that was positive was the work week moved a little bit higher. Then from Reuters, we have U.S. home builders sentiment soured in May for the first time in 6 months. Now, we had a lot of extra activity over the winter. Sometimes when you see a lot of extra activity in a seasonal product like housing over the time when it's out of season, sometimes that does affect what happens in season. So 1 month does not a story make, but right now what we're seeing is the potential customers are on the sidelines, and more builders had to offer incentives to lure buyers. The National Association of Home Builders index fell unexpectedly to 45 in May, the lowest since January, from 51 last month. The reading was lower than all 30 estimates in a poll of economists by Reuters, which thought it would come in at 51. The National Association of Home Builder measures of current sales and sales expectations for the next 6 months all fell. So they don't believe this is a 1 month thing. They believe it's going to be like this. I'm not sure, but as you'll see, the overall economic information continue almost every story today is negative on the future of the economy. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association's, interest rates on a 30-day fixed rate mortgage have held above 7% since early April. A lack of progress on reducing inflation pushed long-term interest rates higher during the first quarter, and this is becoming a drag on builder sentiment, said NAHB chief economist Robert Dietz. The last leg in the inflation fight is to reduce shelter inflation, and this can only occur if builders are able to construct more attainable, affordable housing. What I've been saying for over a year. Data earlier on Wednesday from the Labor Department showed annual shelter inflation rates at their lowest in 2 years, but still way up there at around 5.5% per month. A quarter of builders reported cutting prices to help sales in May, snapping 4 months of declines, and the use of some form of buyer incentive rose to 59% from 57% in April. The average price cut was 6%. Market Watch has this. Business inventories or products waiting to be sold fell 0.1% in March. The government said that matched the forecast of Wall Street, but the ratio of inventories to sales rose to 1.39 from 1.37. That's the number of months it would take to sell off the current inventory. So 1.39 to 1.37, not a very significant increase, but still an increase. And so typically rises. So the ratio goes up when the economy slows, obviously. If you have too much inventory and not enough sales, then inventories go up. Investors Business Daily says Walmart shares rallied nearly 7% on Thursday morning after the discount retailer reported strong earnings and sales results. Walmart also lifted its earnings and sales outlook for the whole year. So Walmart was saying they think they're stealing some of the upper middle classes business, who is getting a little bit stretched on their budgets. And so don't know if that's exactly what's happening, but Walmart, we suggested the other day Walmart would have a good week and that Home Depot would have a off week, which turned out to be true because people are having a hard time paying for products that they don't absolutely have to have next week. Meanwhile, Labor Department said first-time jobless claims fell to 222 from 231 the previous week. People were expecting 220. They're expecting them to fall even more. However, this is staying up fairly high compared to the average, which has been around 210. Further, the Commerce Department's tally of April housing starts and permits came in below estimates. Starts rose to 1.36 million in April versus 1.32. April permits fell to 1.44 compared to 1.458 in March. This is, again, evidence that these home builders are starting to say, I don't know, I think I have to pull back. Then we had the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index, which fell to 4.5 versus April's 15.5, and way below expected 7.8, according to Econoday. So that all of that suggests that the market is overall contracting as we go into the third quarter, where last year we had a large increase in the GDP brought on by government spending and health employment. Not going to have that again. Not going to happen again this third quarter. So how does the economy continue to grow in the third quarter? Then we have this: oil inventories are rising, which is putting downward pressure on oil prices, and the International Energy Agency is forecasting lower demand. Oil was actually up a bit when I looked a few minutes ago, but it has been falling I would say, for the last 2 weeks, roughly. Then we have, finally, we need to mine as much copper, according to, this is from X, Mam Bam Mayer, Mam Bam, Mam, M-A-M, Bam, B-A-M-A-O-A-Y-O-R, if you want to follow them. He says, he's quoting Robert Friedland: "We need to mine as much copper in the next 20 to 25 years as we've mined in the last 10,000 years. And I've been talking about this. There are 3 major situations that are happening where copper is going to be demand. One is the transfer of a great deal of the worldwide production and use of power, switching from coal and oil and gas to electricity, which is going to require lots and lots of copper. Then you've got the demand on the new data centers, which is going to be multiples of what the demand is from data centers now, as data centers will become the largest by far user of electricity in the world. That's going to take a ton of copper. And then you've got, of course, people that are mining Bitcoin, which are also demanding massive amounts of power. So all 3 of those are going to be hitting the grid, and all 3 are going to be hitting it really hard in the next 2 to 3 years, as Elon has been talking to us about this. And about, of course, he doesn't mention about copper, but that is one of the places that is going to be most impacted. Now, copper has been going up and broke through its all-time high, but it is now actually down again last time I checked. But let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers. We have got Tesla, in fact, breaking into the green now, 0.54 ahead for the day after being down a couple. Looking stable in that above the line position. We'll see what happens as the day progresses. We have got the Dow now up 77, the Nasdaq up 25, and the S&P up 8.36. And then if we looked at the Magnificent Seven, Meta is down significantly, 5.29. Everything is up a little bit. Just a little bit. Everybody's up a little bit. NVIDIA's, for instance, up $6. Then we have the Cathie Woods, which are mixed. I would say mostly down. And then we have got the percentages. We have got the Dow up 0.2, NASDAQ up 0.17, and S&P up 0.17. That's interesting to see them all 3 about the same this morning. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the bonds now. The bonds, of course, have been falling for the last couple of days after the inflation report was better than expected. I am still not in line with Wall Street on that one, but what do I know? These guys, especially the bond players, they're smart. Let's go ahead, take a look here. We have got the 10-year even. We have got the 2-year actually up 3.8%. Let's take a look at this. We are now up 42 basis points over the 10-year again, after being down around 30, even dropping under 30, over 40 basis points again. And the 2-month is at 5.372, over 100 basis points again. So this inversion, I'm going to write a book. I mean, seriously, somebody's got to write a book about what it was about this inversion and how it's apparently not doing what has happened in the past. Okay, let's go to the oil number. The oil is up this morning, so some bargain shopping around $79 on Texas Intermediate down up 68 cents. We got natural gas also up 6.7 cents, or 2.77% at 248. This is going to help the oil patch, of course, as they're able to sell the natural gas burn-off at a much higher price. So that's, again, very high for natural gas at 2.481. We've got gold sitting down this morning again after being up several days in a row, 1770 down at 2377. So no longer making a run towards 2,400. We have got copper up, down. Copper down again after running up way up over $5, now down to 485, down 7 cents today in this morning's numbers. Okay, we have got the dollar down a bit, rebounding a little after being down, but of course it's still way up there, quite high compared to normal. And then we have got Bitcoin up 66,000. So the trading range has really established now, 60 to 74, roughly 59 to 74 has become this new trading range, and it is dead in the center of that trading range this morning. All right, let me go back one more time and take a look at Tesla, and it is now up. Whoops, I made a mistake there, and let me just check it, up 91 cents now. So continuing up. Well, that's good news. Good news enough for me. There probably will not be a good news tonight. I'm going to be sitting in an airport. Maybe I'll try to put together a good news later today. But if not, I will definitely see you in the morning. And as always, it's been great talking to you.